listening to New Roads, New Rules, the podcast where women come together to navigate life's big transitions with honesty, humor, and a whole lot of heart. Here are your hosts, Sandy and Terry. Real women, real talk, and ready to ride.
But you're my bestie for life. Yeah, you're the family I choose. Yeah, you. The BFFs till the end. We can get through this together.
Hey everybody, how are you today? Hi Sandy.
Hey Terry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Fantastic. Today, I am going to start out with a spoiler warning. I saw this documentary on Netflix, and people have been talking about it, so I looked it up and wanted to watch it. It's called Unknown Caller. Spoiler, we are going to talk in detail about the show. So if you have not watched it, you might want to take a pause on this, hit the pause button on the podcast and watch it. And then you come back and listen to us. And also share your feedback too, because I just want to know if I'm the only heartless person here with all of this.
I can tell you right now you're not. So.
Oh my goodness gracious, this whole thing. All right. So again, it's a docu-series or document. What is it called?
Documentary.
Thank you. Documentary on Netflix, and it's called Unknown Caller. It's a true crime documentary that unravels the strange and disturbing actions of a suburban mom who orchestrates a series of anonymous texts and fake emergencies type things with her daughter.
Right. It's crazy.
It's just crazy. It's the whole mom goes through it. And I mean, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin sometimes. But throughout the entire thing, these kids are receiving threatening text messages. It's never a phone call. It's always text messages. Right. And then, her daughter's worried about it. She shows concern about it. Her daughter's boyfriend, of course, is worried about it. It's her and him getting the text messages. His mom is very concerned about it. And his mom and her mom are friends. I mean, it's just so convoluted, right?
It is insane.
It's insane. And then, but I mean, we're just going to dive in. That's the gist of it.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that documentary does a really good job of like explaining it from the beginning, and it just turns shocking when it starts to like point at the mom, right? I think it's really important to put into context these types of messages, because at first it felt like it was somebody within the school. By the way, they live in a small town.
Very small
Everybody
town.
knows everybody, right?
Exactly.
There's one school. It goes from kindergarten to through high school.
Right.
So
I think they said 2 stop signs and 1 bar in the whole entire town and whatever. And they're in Michigan.
Yes.
So Sandy, what was when you first watched it? Now I watched it first with my daughter, and both of us were like, what the fuck? And I was so angry at the end of it. And then I'm like, did you watch this? You have to watch this. So what was your gut reaction when you were like watching it?
Okay, so I felt really bad for the kids, because it just reminded me this day and age how with the world we live in with text messages and computers, like you can be a behind the scenes bully. And when you are behind the scenes and not face to face, the cruelty is magnified by 1,000, you know?
Because you're hiding behind that screen.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. I mean, not interesting, but like the things that were being said were like very sexual in nature. Like, also they were like, she told her to kill herself. Like you should end yourself. Like, and the fact that when it comes out that the mother is behind it, as a mother myself, I sat there stunned with my mouth open, like, that can't be true.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was in denial, because as a mother, like, you just want to build your kids up.
Right.
You don't want to. Why?
Right.
What if she would have killed herself? You know what I mean?
And I mean, and you and I are both mothers of daughters, right? And
Right,
I could
right.
never fathom saying anything, any of those contexts of any of those text messages that she sent to her. Never. I mean, never, ever,
Right.
ever. So
And there's so much as a teenage girl that you have to go through, and the fact is that she was 14, the girl,
Right.
And this is a boy she grew up with and her boyfriend at the time, but they weren't like having sexual intercourse, and the mom was throwing that at her,
Right.
like that
should have been.
that they were
Right.
and that. I don't understand the motive behind that. I
Right.
really don't understand the motive behind that.
I don't
So-
either. I just don't get it. And I just want to frame for our listeners here. We are a podcast about empowering women, right? So why are we covering this? Like, why should we cover this? Well, I think that stories like this open up conversations about motherhood, pressure, isolation, and the extreme lengths people go to when they feel unseen or they're desperate. I think hearing these stories helps us to reflect on our own lives and the community that we live in. And, and being aware of this possibly does go on more than we think, right? Like, or more than we
Right.
know. And so maybe becoming a little more aware of our surroundings. So we've got this mom, and at the beginning of this documentary, they're talking to her and questioning her. The producers are, getting her to talk about the events that have occurred and, her concern about it and how she was worried about her daughter and all of that. So you're not thinking that, this can be anybody else, because from the text messages that the kids were receiving, and the kids being her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend, it made it sound like it was another kid at school.
Right. And so they're basically framing this girl because like they made specific references that could only point to this one girl.
Right.
And that is also a very unhealthy thing especially in a small community.
Right.
So now everybody thinks this girl is unfairly being judged or blamed
Right.
for this behavior, and she had nothing to do with
Right.
it. So now let's bring that girl into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then on top of that, there was another girl who was the cousin of the boyfriend. And because that one was being framed, quote unquote framed,
Right.
they thought it was her because she didn't get along with her. And like
Right.
some of the pictures were of a family gathering or
Right.
whatever. And so they thought, it had to be somebody close to the family. So now this cousin's being blamed
Right.
as well.
I
And
know.
it's like these young people, like what in the heck? It spiraled into this big thing
Right.
that affected the entire community. And by the way, it went on for more than a year.
Right. It was almost a year and a half, close to 2 years before it was revealed that it was actually the mom and whatnot, because they were trying to handle it within themselves, first of all. And then they finally got the school involved, and the school could
Right.
only do so much. And they weren't finding anything because they were getting messages about things that were going on like during the day at school.
Right.
And how could it be anybody else but a kid in that school, and so they were trying to
Right.
keep it at school level. And the reason for that is because the mom was always at the school, helping out, coaching, doing whatever. So she was at the school. And then when that wasn't working and, they weren't getting anywhere, then they brought in the police department. And then the police, the local sheriff did as much as he could until he didn't have anything left to do. And then he called the FBI finally because now it was getting even worse in the fact that eventually all this drama broke up the daughter and her boyfriend, right? So they break up, and then he, it's the following summer, and he goes away to camp, or he went somewhere during the summer in 2 towns over and met another girl and started dating her. Nobody related to any of this. And then all of a sudden that mom starts getting text messages. And like, how creepy is that? Like
it's super creepy.
I mean, and
it's super creepy.
Just the emotional abuse right there of that kid who's just trying to be a teenage boy, and have a girlfriend and do all of that. And now he picks somebody outside of all of this, and now they're being targeted. Like, you've got to be kidding me.
I know. And it's so hard to fathom just the magnitude of it.
Right.
And then what causes a person to continue this on.
Right.
And so there's a lot, like they do talk to the mom about this, right? I don't want to go too far ahead, but, and she starts to talk about some trauma she had. We all we've had trauma, right?
Everybody
like
has their own version of trauma in their life.
Right. Maybe it wasn't the same kind of trauma. And then she started to say, everybody's done bad things, and I just got caught, basically. Like, she wasn't even sorry.
She wasn't even sorry.
It.
I mean, and she did use the example of, people shoplift, they just didn't get caught. Oh my gosh, we are not talking about shoplifting here. Like, this is not, and this is where I will sound, and I apologize ahead of time, I will sound judgmental because I can't wrap my brain around this. To do this to my daughter. Like, I just keep picturing me and my daughter, and there's just no way on God's green earth am I looking to, do that. Now, they did talk about to her cousin, the mom's cousin, who said that the mom was always the one always out looking for attention. She, and I think her line at one point said, you're here talking to me. If she were in this room, she would be right over there doing whatever she could to try to grab your attention from me.
Yes.
So,
well, and let's talk about, it is true that understanding, seeking understanding does not mean excusing.
Right.
So let's talk about the mom for a minute, right? Because she was an attention getter that's the way that the people closest to her describe her.
Right.
Then she has this trauma as well. Right. And she says, I'm trying to help my daughter by continuing on with these messages. She clearly has some mental health issues because she apparently in her marriage, she was in charge of the bills, right? And then they got super behind. And she never told her husband she was supposed to be working like 2 jobs or whatever.
Right.
She wasn't working
at all.
She wasn't working at all. And so there was absolute like behavioral issues with her as well. And then to fill her time, this is what she's doing. Like, she's out of work. They're struggling financially. She has this trauma from when she was a kid. And she's now like, well, how does she get attention?
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
I mean,
was this her cry for attention?
I maybe, that's the only thing I guess I can reason with, try to reason with. I mean, when we say like, as we're talking about this, I just want to point out the fact that we say, she sent these text messages to her daughter and this kid, the boy that her daughter was dating. At the end of the documentary, they point out the fact it was thousands of text messages, not just, one here, there, or whatever. Thousands of text messages, horrible text messages, all times of day, night, whatever the case may be. But they do at one point in there to, again, try to see both sides. Somebody had mentioned it's kind of like a digital Munchausen by proxy disorder.
Right.
So that
Right.
Munchausen's is when, somebody will purposely make somebody sick in order for that
Right.
person who is now sick to need that first person. So I need the attention. So I'm going to make you sick, Sandy. So that way you have to
Yeah.
ask me for help to help you. So I can
Yes.
feel needed. And
Yes.
so this mom is now using that, and I'm not saying, because I'm not a psychologist, but this is what it looks to be, where digitally now she is making her daughter and this boy sick. And she's acting like one of the parents who are like, let's take care of this. Who is this?
Right.
Like,
She wants to
protect her.
She wants to protect her. She did say that she wanted to protect her.
Right.
And that's why the whole thing started, which what?
Right.
You know, she said, okay, I have to also say, she says in the interview, she didn't start the messages. She said they were started, I'm just saying what she said,
Yeah.
but they were started by somebody else, and then they died down for like a year.
Yeah.
And then she started them up again because she said she wanted to get to the bottom of who was doing it.
Right. That was her excuse.
But at
the
I don't
end of
believe it.
at the end of the documentary, the daughter says she thinks her mom started them all. Like, she now believes that her mom started them all. And
yet she still really, really wanted a relationship with her.
Right.
Like, at the end,
But
my heart was going out to her because that's
her mom, right? Like, and she's just a kid. Like, her brain is not fully developed or anything like that. So, you want that love, you want some type of attention from your parent, right? And unfortunately, she's just getting the negative attention. Now, thank goodness her dad seems to be, on it and whatnot. Although I did think the courts made a mistake by letting her see her mom while she was in prison, because I think they needed that break to like stay away from each other and no contact. But what do I know? Like,
I know. I mean, yeah, it's difficult to say, right? I mean, I just think like I guess there are lessons to be learned from this. I think that mental health is such a big topic, you know what I mean? And clearly she was having a mental health crisis. She just didn't handle it well. I just don't know, like, I don't know what, I can't even fathom where she was going with this.
I can't either. And again, all right, so, in psychological terms, like, women, especially after they've had kids, that's all they identify them as, is moms, right? I mean, you and I both know from going through a divorce, we kind of lost our own identity at some point through marriage and motherhood, right? You kind of lose that identity because then you become the person who's taking care of the family, who's raising these kids, and that's all you're focused on, and you're no longer focusing on yourself. So it's I think it's easier for a woman to lose her identity and all of this, right? Right. So, agreed. And there have been studies showing that, women often feel their worth tied to caregiving. And when they are struggling, they may act out to restore that sense of that importance, right? So, I mean, honestly, I could see this, I guess, in this situation, because now the daughter has now grown up. She's now dating somebody. She's old enough to date somebody. So, you and I both know, as our daughters have grown up, we see less and less of them, right? They need us less and less, So she just took it a different way than you and I would handle anything, right?
Agree. And then her trauma was related to sexual assault, right? So as her daughter starts to date, she is the same age as this trauma. So it might have sparked some sort of breakdown in her. Right. So I can see that as well. But, as mothers, we're kind of taught to suffer in silence, and, and it isn't until you see some sort of a mental break that you are like, oh, wait, I need to get help for this or whatever. And she clearly has never gotten there. Even now, when they're interviewing her, I still feel like this woman needs help. Like, she's still making excuses, and she's trying to like explain it away, and it still, I think, needs work,
Right. No, I agree. I think that's what kind of like took me back when it came out that it was her, because throughout the entire documentary, the beginning parts of it, like, she is talking as a concerned mom, and oh my gosh, we've got to find this person who is doing this to my daughter. And, and she's, partnering up with the other mom, and they're trying to figure out how their kids are being harassed, is very lightly to say what was going on right there. But I think that's what really got me, because all of a sudden, like, wait, what? You're doing this documentary and you did this. Like, I mean, I just don't understand. But again, it goes back to her needing that attention.
But she was very proud of how she was there for her daughter. And again, you said it earlier, that it is a big part of what that was. Right? It was the attention from her daughter. And by the way, the daughter still wants that attention from her. The daughter wants that attention from her now, because she was there for her during this horrible time, even though she caused it. So it really is kind of it's kind of a manipulation,
I mean, I was just floored at, I guess, really how she was just doing this, because the documentary is made after she serves time in prison, and she's just acting like, of course, she wasn't going to kill herself. Like,
Right. That's the thing, when they asked, because she said you should end yourself, basically, to her own daughter. And they specifically asked her, what if she had? You know what I mean? What would you have done then?
What would you have done?
Right. And she said, oh, she wouldn't have done that. She's much too strong for that, or whatever. And that wasn't her exact wording, but basically that was her attitude.
That was the attitude. Yeah.
It's so crazy to me.
It is. And I do believe that there should be more mental health support for moms. We all know that there's postpartum depression, and that gets to be very severe. And, and there's not a lot. I mean, even after you and I had kids, I think I went through it a little bit, and I was struggling there. Also because at the time Madison was born, like, my mom was going through cancer treatments. Her cancer came back, and it was not good. Right. Yeah. So there was a lot of that going on, but, I was made more to be like, you knew she had cancer. You knew she was dying. Why are you doing this? Why are you crying? Whatever. And I just feel like women do kind of get the raw edge of not enough mental health after this, because hormones play a huge part in all of this, and they are all over the place during all of this. For sure.
Yes.
And as we get older, and as you and I, and this woman, she's not too far, like, at least going through perimenopause, like, hormones, right? And so maybe that could be part of it. I'm not trying to make excuses for her. I am trying to understand how a woman could do this, just as much as I don't understand how a woman going through postpartum can harm her baby or herself, but it's just, like, I'm baffled. I really am. And it's just sad all the way around.
Well, and thank goodness that nobody harmed themselves and nobody passed away, right? Like, this is the best case scenario for this, but we've seen those kinds of stories before, where people were bullied on text message or social media, where kids
were bullied.
Right. And then they're, people that have actually committed suicide because of, the things people say to them. And I just think, like, this is a good topic to talk about, because thank goodness nothing happened. But the fact is this could have gone very, very wrong.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
I mean,
it's still to me, I feel like now the daughter does need counseling, and so does the mother.
I
they
think that
do.
the mother, I think it's quite obvious the mother still needs counseling just for the fact that she did the documentary and the things, how she acted in the documentary and the things she said in the documentary, like you've pointed out with, other people, I just got caught. They didn't, kind of thing.
Right. What it was the craziest thing. It's like, show some other kind of, remorse here.
Right,
There was
right.
it was not there. So she definitely had attention. She definitely needed the attention, and she was manipulating. Sorry, she was manipulating her daughter as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And everybody around her.
And everybody around her.
I guess it's important, I think, to talk about, what if a woman, because this is a podcast, right, for women, and
right.
If a woman is feeling unseen, let's say unseen, underappreciated,
right,
or even like she may have felt like she was failing, like she lost her job, right? Like,
right.
It's unclear as to whether she lost her job before or after this started, but
right.
But I think, like, if you're feeling that way, you should seek professional health or professional help, I should say, and also like healthy ways of dealing with your emotions, right? And I don't think it is healthy to bottle them all in and pretend like everything is fine. No. And I think there are too many women out there that do that, especially those that are juggling motherhood, being a wife, and also life work, in general.
I mean,
career.
Right.
Yeah.
Women are expected to be able to handle it all. Like take on a 40-hour work week, still come home, take care of the family. Yes, there are men, do not get me wrong, that step up and are there toe to toe with their partner. And I think that is fabulous. But not I find that to be a rare occasion, I think, just from people that myself and other people I know who have, issues and whatever. It's just, I mean, and I say that because I know myself, like, and even when we were, together, like there were some stressful things going on in Nashville, right? And whatever that I was stressing about. And I felt guilty about that. I felt like, oh, I sound like a crybaby. I, look like, and I'm apologizing all over the place because I don't want to come off that way. I want to be able to handle things. And looking back, I'm like, and I said, looking back at it myself, I'm like, I did handle it. I was handling it.
You did.
There's nothing wrong with, a short little cry, like, and whatever. And I just, but me 10 years ago probably would not have been able to handle it as well as I did now because of the situation I was in, and if you are in a situation where you can't feel validated for your reason, how you're feeling, then that's not a situation. You need to find a different situation is basically what I'm saying. And find, and that goes even for friendships. Like you want the friends around you to validate your feelings and help you through them. And that even goes on the back end. Like, okay, I've heard you, I understand, but it's time for you to pick up your big girl pants and let's go, like not enabling the poor me thing, but allowing that to happen initially because everybody needs that every now and then, you just, you need that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, okay, like I can recognize when I'm in that poor me state. And it's happened more often in this last year than ever in my life, probably.
Right.
But I don't want to sit in it too long. And it is helpful to have people that are like, no, your feelings are validated. Your feelings are real. this is a normal reaction to this situation.
Right.
And now that you're done with that, let's go do something. Let's, let's get out of this. Don't sit and have a pity party about it. You know?
We can't have a continuous pity party. That's right.
No, it's true. It's true. But, and then, a lot of the things that we've talked about on this podcast do help, right? Which is, not only having a community of people, if you don't feel like you have a community of people, reaching out to a professional, journaling, really getting what are your personal goals, focusing on yourself, getting those, just getting yourself together.
Right.
And then working towards your personal goals.
Yep.
Those all have been very helpful to me in times where I'm like, all right, this isn't fair.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. No, I agree.
So,
I agree. I mean, I guess the biggest takeaway isn't to fear these stories that we hear and see and whatever, but it's to recognize the value of being authentic and, and recognizing that, mental health support is a good thing and not a bad thing. Just because you need support professionally is not a bad thing. And nobody should be ashamed of that. And, to me, that is, I guess, the most empowered thing you could do for yourself, because you're recognizing that you need help in a situation and you're asking for it and you're seeking it. And so, I mean, empowerment can come from others, we empower each other, but the biggest one has to come from within yourself otherwise you're never going to accept the other stuff. So, I want to, I encourage anybody who is finding themselves in difficult situations mentally to just talk to somebody professionally, because they can help you, and if you don't feel like you're getting that help from them, then seek out another one, because not everybody meshes, you right? So don't think that, if you talk to the first person and it's not helping, that it's you. Find somebody else, just like a regular doctor doesn't always fit, right?
Right. And I also want to say, that's great for dealing with life stresses and when you're in that, that mental mood. But also one of the elements to this story that, is really important is if you have past trauma, you need to, and it's not been dealt with.
Right.
You don't know how that's going to come out. So if you do, it's really important that you have an outlet to deal with that trauma, so you don't, it doesn't affect you in a way that turns really bad. Really bad.
Now, Sandy, maybe there's just times, maybe because I do know some people like this, where they've been caught kind of, I guess, for lack of a better terms, just caught exaggerating or creating just a little more drama about the situation just so that they can feel heard or noticed. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And how do you handle that when you've noticed it?
Well, I handle it just like I handle anything, right? Which is I'll listen. If it's exaggerated a little bit, I don't care. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's exaggerated for a reason, right? It could be exaggerated because of how that person telling the story is feeling about it.
Or how they took, it's their perspective of it.
Yes. And you have to always, when you're hearing anybody's side of the story, that you have to understand that this is their perspective. This is why they're passionate about it. They have feelings about it. And whenever feelings are involved, it's going to be
a little bit different.
It could be exaggerated, right? We've all been guilty of that, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. I just, I guess, yes. In general, yes. I just keep going back to this story and, again, trying to understand, but because her daughter was involved in all of it, I guess that's my biggest hang up on it. Right.
No, God, I know. As a mom, I think, to be honest, I didn't come on this podcast thinking I would even try to understand her perspective at all. But I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? For women everywhere.
Right.
But I'm not making excuses for this woman because I don't think she learned a lesson by going to prison.
I don't think so either.
I still don't think she had her daughter's best interest at hand.
No, I think she was still just looking for attention for herself.
Yes. But it does beg the question, right? Like, if you find yourself in a situation where you're contemplating doing something that's harmful to others because of your past trauma or your current situation, seek help. You know what I mean? Really, that's all. And we're not professionals.
No.
So we're not going to pretend to have the answers. We're not psychologists. But we're women and we understand that life is hard,
Right.
And so
life is hard. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move on here to your turn.
Yay.
It's your turn. Let's hear what you have to say.
So if you've ever found yourself doing something just to be noticed or validated, maybe not as extreme as the story, right? But maybe oversharing, exaggerating, creating drama because you felt unseen, we'd love to hear how you recognized it and how you shifted toward a healthier way of getting your needs met. Maybe,
that's a good one.
What did you do? Like, we all find ourselves in those spots where we don't feel like people are listening. We don't feel like we are being seen or our feelings are being acknowledged. And so maybe that's why people tend to go into exaggerating it because they want to be heard, right? So if you find listeners, if you find yourself in that situation, are there any tricks that you do or anything you do mentally for yourself that you change that around and find a healthier way to get yourself heard and acknowledged?
Absolutely. Share with our community because what you say could help others, right?
Exactly.
And so, I also want to talk about the rule of the week. Can we do that?
Yes.
And now it's time for the rule of the week.
Okay. So here's the rule, you guys. Seek validation in truth, not in performance, right?
Yes.
It's okay to want attention, love, and care. We all do. The key is making sure it's real, grounded, and not coming at the expense of yourself or others.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing, whose expense is it at? Like, always kind of think about that, and that does go in expense for yourself because, again, women tend to put everybody else ahead of them, right? And it comes at your expense then, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So this episode here is our last one of this season. It's episode 12 here. 2 seasons already. I mean, I
can't believe it, honestly.
We are going to take a 2-week break. Sandy and I want to come up with some newer topics, new things for the season. We'd like to do something little different every season. So we're going to take a short 2-week break to kind of refresh, plan new content and bring more empowering conversations to the microphone, right? But we will be replaying our most listened to interviews. So you can revisit those 2. You can revisit any of the other ones that you have listened to or shared, catch any ones that you may have missed. But in the next 2 weeks after this one, they will be our most listened to interviews, which I'm kind of excited about.
That's great.
Yes.
I love it. And it'll be a short break. And, we are in that break. If you guys go on newroadsnewrules.com, we can interact there. You can also listen to the podcasts that you missed, just like Terry said, the current ones, and also anything you missed, you can listen to there.
Right.
But yes, we definitely want to build up that community. And then we're going to,
it has been. Yeah. Which is great.
And TikTok and Instagram are growing. We're very excited about that.
We'll have some more stuff out on there as well too. So yeah, we have a lot coming up, that a lot of ideas that we just need to get organized, and we need time to do that in between these, because we record once a week and we just don't have time, like besides our busy lives going on. We just want to take some time so that way we can make sure that we have some good content coming up for the next season. So very excited about that, right? And,
yes, and reach out if you want to be on the podcast. Let us know and tell us what you want to talk about.
Because we're ready to talk about anything, because we want to come back with some fresh new interviews, some deeper dives into different subjects, even the hard ones that, not that this was hard. It was a little difficult, but it's, a little more intense, it's a little more intense than what we covered, like our fall stuff last week, and things like that. But of course, plenty of laughter. Even through this one, we found some things to chuckle at. So, which we will always do, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
You have to. You
have to. Laughter is the best medicine. It's been notated in that many, many years. So, all right. Well, then everybody take care of yourselves, and we will be back very soon then. Okay?
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. See you next season.
But you're my bestie for life.